Good morning, students. Today I shall solve question number 6 of page number 138 of your book. The chapter number is 5 and the name of the chapter is A Revision Tour to MySQL. Now go through this question number 6. It says consider the following table named exam with details of marks. Write the commands of MySQL for A to D and output for E to Z. So here is this table identified by the name exam, and these are the entries corresponding to the columns ADNO, SNAME, percentage, CL section and stream. Now note that ADNO means the admission number of the students, SNAME means the student name, and CL section means class section together. Okay, and that you can understand clearly from the entries. See, the class and the section are together. The first one is 12A, second one is 12B, and at the end the last one is 12D. Now based on this table called exam, I have to solve the MySQL queries for questions A to D. That means for the questions from A to D till here, I have to solve the MySQL queries, and for the questions from E to Z, I have to find the output. So for the question starting from E till Z, I have to find the output. So let's start with the first MySQL query, okay, that is A. The question says to display all information of the students of humanities in descending order of percentage. Now let's solve this query part by part. At first, let's try to display all the information of the students. For that, we have to write the query as select star from the table called exam. This is because since you are asked to display all the information of the students, so I am going to display the entries for each of these columns, that is ADNO, SNAME till stream, and for that I have to write the query as select star from the table called exam, where star is going to retrieve the entries for each of these columns starting from ADNO, SNAME, percentage till stream. So here is the first part of the query, that is select star from exam. Then the second part of the question says we are required to display all information of the students of humanities stream. Okay, so I have to set the condition in the where clause that the stream should be only humanities. Okay, so only this particular record shall get displayed where the stream is humanities. So in the where clause I shall write like this, where stream equal to humanities. So we are done with this part of the question, that is select star from exam where stream equal to humanities. So this is going to select only this particular record to be displayed in the output, and this is for the student name Vaidyanath, whose stream is humanities. Now see the next part of the question. It says we are asked to display the information of the students of humanities stream in descending order of percentage only. That means the records, okay, with the percentage value highest shall be displayed first, followed by the records with the second highest percentage value, and at the end the records with the lowest percentage value shall be displayed. But from this question we are able to retrieve only one particular record, that is of the student called Vaidyanath, whose percentage is 80.5 and his stream is humanities. So the question of arranging it in descending order does not arise. So for this question, to display all information of the students of humanities in descending order of percentage, okay, this will be the query, that is select star from exam where stream equal to humanities, order by percentage in descending order. So that is represented as DESC here, followed by a semicolon, and the output we shall get for this query is only this particular record. So we only have one percentage value, which is 80.5. So the question of arranging it in descending order or ascending order does not arise. Now let me type this SQL statement in MySQL workbench, but before that I have to start the MySQL workbench. So let me do that. So this is the startup screen of MySQL workbench. Now let me click on here, that is the local instance, and let me type the password. So this shall give me access to the workspace. So this rectangular shaped white colored portion is the workspace. Now before I shall work with this table called exam, I have to set the database which contains this table called exam as our current database. Now the name of that database which contains this table called exam is also referred to by the name exam. Okay, so I shall set that database named exam as our current database. For that I have to use the use command and type the name of the database, which in this case is exam. So here is the MySQL command to set the database exam as our current database, so that I can easily work with this table. Now let me execute this command. Now just as I clicked on this flash symbol, okay, the database identified by the name exam has been set as our current database, and this is indicated by the tick symbol in the output window. Now that this database has been set as our current database, I can easily work with this table called exam. Now let me execute this query, that is select star from exam where stream equal to humanities and order by percentage in descending order. So for that I shall first copy it and paste it in the MySQL workbench. Now I have to put the proper quotation because humanities should be enclosed within quotation for the column called stream. Now let me execute this query. So here it is. This is the output for this query, and the output shows only one record, just as I have said, and that record is for the student called Vaidyanath, whose percentage is 80.50 and stream is humanities. Now consider this particular question, that is B. It says to display ADNO name, percentage and stream of those students whose name is less than 6 characters long. That means from this table identified by the name exam, I am going to retrieve the entries for only these particular columns, that is ADNO, SName, percentage and stream. The entries for the column CL section shall be omitted. This is because it's not asked in the question, because in the question it was asking us to display only the entries for these columns, that is ADNO, name, percentage and stream. So I shall write the select query as select ADNO, name, percentage, stream from the table called exam. So this particular query as highlighted represents the first part of the question. Now let's solve the second part of the question. We are going to display the entries for these columns, okay, whose name should be less than 6 characters long. Okay, now if the name has to be less than 6 characters long, then I should write the condition in the where clause as where length of the column called SName should be less than 6. Now let's find it out from the table above. See, for the student name Sushant, it consists of how many letters? If you count the number of letters here, it's 7. Okay, but we need the entries of those particular students, okay, whose length is less than 6. But now since it contains 7 letters, its length is more than 6. So the record of this particular student shall not be taken into account. Now let's come to the next record. This is for the student called Vedyanath. How many letters it contains? If you count the number of letters, it comes to 10. Again, the record of this particular student, that is Vedyanath, shall not be taken into account. This is because we need to display the ADNO name, percentage and stream of those students whose length is less than 6, as represented here by this length function imposed on the column SName, which says that the length of students should be less than 6. Now let's come to the next student, Miara. How many letters it contains? It contains 5 letters. So if you count the number of letters for the student called Miara, it comes to 5. Now this record, okay, corresponding to the student Miara, shall be taken into account. This is because we need to display those student records whose length is less than 6. Now obviously the length of the student name Miara is less than 6 because it consists of 5 letters. So for this student called Miara, I am going to display his ADNO, that is R003, his name, which is Miara, percentage, which is 68.9, and stream, which is science. Now see, I'm going to discard this entry 12B for the column CL section for the student called Miara. This is because it's not asked in the question. What's asked in this question is to display the entries for only these 4 columns, that is ADNO, name, percentage and stream. That's why for the entry called Miara, I have only displayed these entries: R003 for ADNO, Miara for SName, 68.9 for percentage and science for stream. So similarly, let's come to the next record, that is for the student Niara. It consists of 5 letters. So again, for this student the condition holds true, that is its length is less than 6. So again, for this student the entry is R004 Niara and 96.0 for the columns ADNO, SName and percentage shall get displayed along with the stream, which is commerce. Then come to the next entry. It's for the student called Shinjini. How many letters does it contain? Just count. It consists of 8 letters. Now see, since its name consists of 8 letters, so it doesn't satisfy the condition that the length of SName should be less than 6. So even this record shall not be taken into account, that is for the student named Shinjini. So we have taken into account only 2 records, that is for the student Miara and for the student Niara. So these were the entries, okay, that shall get displayed in the output table for the columns ADNO, SName and percentage, and these entries, that is science and commerce, under the column stream shall get displayed in the output table for the student Miara and Niara. Now let's test it in the MySQL workbench. So before that, let me copy this query and paste it here in MySQL workbench. Now let me set the alignment properly. Okay, now let me execute this query by clicking this flash symbol. Okay, there is a correction to be made. The column is not name, it's SName. Okay, so even here I am going to change the column name to SName, because in the table the entries for the student names are represented by the column name, which is SName. Now let me execute this query again. So here is the output table. It lists only 2 records, okay, for the columns AD, no, SNAME, percentage and stream as asked for in the question. And these are the entries for the columns, and the student names were only Miara and Niara, because for only these 2 students, okay, the length of SNAME is less than 6, and in both these cases the length of SNAME is 5 if you count the number of letters. So in the output table you can see only 2 records corresponding to the students Niara and Miara. Now come to the next question, that is C. The question is asking us to add another column, that is bus underscore fees, with data type and size as decimal 8,2. Now note that here decimal is the data type, 8 is the precision and 2 is the scale. So including the precision 8 and 2 as the scale, it denotes the size of this data type, which is decimal. Now just check the first part of the question. It says to add another column bus underscore fees. Now if I am to add this column bus underscore fees into this table called exam, that column shall be added just after the last column, which is stream. And then after adding the new column called bus underscore fees, in total I will have 6 columns, okay. 5 of them are already present here, okay. This represents AD, no, SNAME, percentage, CL section and stream, and including bus underscore fees, the total number of columns shall be 6. But for that I have to alter this table called exam, because for any addition of a new column you have to alter the table. That's why in this case, since I am adding a new column called bus underscore fees, I am altering the table called exam. So the SQL query shall be alter table, and then I shall specify the name of the table, which is exam, and then I shall put the add column clause. Since I am going to add a new column identified by the name bus fees, okay, so after the add column clause I shall put the new column name, which is bus underscore fees, and then I shall specify the data type along with their size. Since the data type of the column, that is bus underscore fees, as asked in the question is decimal, I shall put decimal here, okay. And again, since the size as asked in the question was 8,2, where 8 is the precision and 2 is the scale, that's why just after writing the data type I shall put the size within bracket as 8,2. So here is the SQL query, that is alter table exam, where we altered the table called exam to add a new column, okay. And then after the add column clause I shall specify the name of the new column, which is bus underscore fees, and then specify the data type as asked in the question, which is decimal, and the size defined as 8,2, where 8 is the precision and 2 is the scale. Now let me copy this SQL statement and execute it in MySQL Workbench. So this is the SQL statement, okay. Now let me execute it, and once I have executed this SQL statement, a new column identified by the name bus underscore fees shall be added into our table called exam. Now let's check it out. For that, let me type the select query as select star from our table, which is exam, okay. And let me execute this query. See, this lists the entries of our table called exam corresponding to these columns. Now if you see the column section, a new column has been added, which is bus underscore fees, and the entries are all null for this column because I haven't set any entry for this column called bus underscore fees, as this column has been newly added into our table called exam. Now see, before the addition of the column called bus underscore fees, there were how many columns? There were 5 columns. But after the addition of the column called bus underscore fees, there were 6 columns. Okay, now there is 6 columns since I have added this new column bus underscore fees. Now let's come to the next question D, which is asking us to increase the percentage by 2% of all the humanities students. Now see the first part of the question. This is asking us to increase the percentage by 2%. So for that I need to use the update command like this, that is update and then specify the name of our table, which is exam, then set. Now I shall set the new value for our percentage, and that value shall be the old value of percentage plus the increase in percentage by 2%. So this is the old value of percentage plus the increase in percentage by 2% is represented as percentage into 0.02. Here 2% is 2 divided by 100, which gives the value 0.02. Similarly, in case we are asked to increase the percentage by 3%, then instead of 0.02, I would have written 0.03. Or else, if we are asked to increase the percentage by 5%, then again in place of 0.02, I would have written the value as 0.05. Now that the increase in percentage as asked in the question is 2% only, so I am going to stick with this particular value, that is 0.02. And this part, that is percentage into 0.02, represents the increase in percentage by 2%. The value of this column called percentage will be the new value. As a result, with the help of the first part of the statement to increase the percentage by 2%, the SQL query that we have written is update exam to update the table called exam, and then set a new value of percentage as percentage equal to percentage plus percentage into 0.02, where this part, that is percentage into 0.02, represents the increase in percentage by 2%. Now let's come to the second part of the question, which is asking us to increase the percentage by 2% only for the humanities students. That means the condition in the where clause should be such that the stream should be equal to humanities only. That's why after typing this part of the query in the where clause, I shall specify the condition that the stream should be equal to humanities, like this. Now once we execute this query, okay, then for the stream called humanities, whose student name is Vaidyanath, I shall notice a increase in the percentage value from 80.5 to maybe slightly higher. That means you are going to notice a value which is higher than 80.5 as the percentage once you execute this query. So let me execute this query first. Before that, let me copy it and paste it in MySQL workbench. Now let me give the appropriate quotation for the string humanities. So this is the update command. Let me execute it. So upon executing this SQL command, one row has been affected, and that row is for the record Vaidyanath. Okay, the student bearing the name Vaidyanath whose stream is humanities. This particular row has been affected, and you can see an increase in value for the column called percentage for this particular student who is Vaidyanath. So the percentage has been increased, okay, for that particular student called Vaidyanath, because it is that particular student whose stream is humanities in the entire table called exam. Now let's see the effect. For that, I shall write the select query again. I shall write select star from exam to list the records of the table called exam. Now let me click this flash button and execute this query. So these are the records, okay, for the table called exam. Now see the student called Vaidyanath. His record, okay, has the percentage value 82.11. Now did you notice the increase in the percentage value? Before, the student Vaidyanath has the percentage value 80.5. okay, now the same student Vaidyanath has the percentage value as 82.11. now there is an increase in percentage value. That is due to this update statement, okay, which has updated our table called exam, set the new percentage as old percentage plus percentage into 0.02, where percentage into 0.02 is the increase in the percentage value. Now I have set the condition as stream should be equal to humanities. Okay, now since for the stream called humanities, okay, the only student is Vaidyanath, that's why I am considering this particular record, okay, for the student named Vaidyanath whose stream is humanities, and it is this particular record whose percentage value has increased from 80.5 to 82.11. See, this is the same record with student name Vaidyanath and stream as humanities, but with percentage value raised to 82.11. So this is the effect that you can see in the update table once you have executed the update command. Now consider this question E. The query is given, which is select count star from the table called exam, and based on this query we are asked to find the output. Okay, this has been already mentioned in the question. We are asked to find the output for the questions E to Z. Now for this query, select count star from exam. The function count star is going to retrieve the total number of records from the table called exam. Now if we see this table called exam, the total number of records are 5. Okay, you can see clearly here there are 5 numbers of records. So count star shall return 5 in the output table like this. Now see the next question F. The query given is select S name comma percentage from the table called exam. That's why we are going to select the entries of only these two columns, that is S name and percentage. So only the entries for these two columns, that is S name and percentage, shall be extracted and displayed in the output table like this. But the condition set shall be like this: S name should be like N percentage. Okay, so this is the condition to be set after the where clause. And since S name should be like N percentage, so all the entries for which the S name starts with the letter N shall be taken into account. And yes, once the name starts with the letter N, after that it can have any type of letters. Okay, so for example, in this table called exam, for the student name, okay, which starts with the letter N, the only value is Niara, because this is the student whose name starts with letter N. Okay, but after that it can have any types of letters, such as I as the second letter, A as the third letter, R as the fourth letter, and again A as the fifth letter. But the condition is such that the first letter should be N only. After that it can have any types of letters. So that is indicated here in the form of N percentage, where N denotes the starting letter and percentage denotes any type of letter, okay, which just follows the starting letter N. And once we execute this query, that is select S name comma percentage from the table exam, where the condition set is the student name should look like N percentage, okay, where N is the starting letter and percentage denotes the rest of the letters, which can be of any type that follows the starting letter N. Okay, and for this query we have only one record, that is Niara as the student name and 96.0 as the percentage, and that you can find it out from here in this table. Niara is the student name and the corresponding percentage is 96.0 for the column called percentage. And this is the output that is represented. Now consider the last question Z. The query says select round of percentage comma 0 from the table exam, where the condition set should be ADNO is equal to R005 within quotation followed by a semicolon. Now see this part of the query, it says select round of percentage comma 0. That means with the help of this round function I am going to round off the entries for the column called percentage to 0 places of decimal. That means for this column called percentage, where these are its values, I am going to round off each of these values to 0 places of decimal. That means for each of these values I am going to ignore the part after the decimal, okay, or I am going to ignore the decimal part for each of these entries. So for this SQL statement, that is select round of percentage comma 0 from the table called exam, where the condition set should be ADNO is equal to R005, then under the ADNO column, okay, with the value as R005, I am going to round off the value under the percentage column, which is 88.9 to 0 places of decimal. That means I am going to ignore the part after the decimal. Okay, the part after the decimal is 9 here and the part before the decimal is 88. Now if I am to ignore the part after the decimal, which is 9 here, okay, I have to write the approximate value as 89, because 88.9 is approximately equal to 89. Okay, and after discarding the part after the decimal, okay, that is the value 9 after the decimal, I have to write the approximate value as 89, because 89 is the only value which is slightly more than or closer to 88.9. I cannot take the value as 88 because 88 will be the value which is less than 88.9, and if I am to approximate this value 88.9 after ignoring the decimal part, I have to treat 88.9 as 89 itself, and that's why for this query I get the output as 89 under the column round of percentage comma 0. So here is this output that is based on this query, and with this I end my presentation here.